Chapter -29.92, The Secret. Still written by Frank in blue ink. The reason I don't need to hear from the rest of you, continued Professor Triggs, is that we recently installed security cameras all around the school campus so that we'd be able to watch out for any bullying, thefts or assaults. With our clever cameras, we can always find out what really happened. My heart ran back into my shoes, shot up into my chest and started beating again. Now, said Professor Triggs, I use the word assault because some bullying is not actually bullying. Sometimes what people call bullying is a criminal assault or the threat of one. Bullying involves cruel behaviours and the bully will often say, oh, it was only a joke or something like that. But some bullying really is what the law calls common assault, and that's something the police need to look into. The Blessos started to look worried. But sadly, I could see that Toby was still very scared. He didn't seem to understand what was happening, so I put up my hand. Excuse me, I said, can I please sit next to Toby? Professor Triggs looked surprised. Of course, she said, pointing at Basher, who was seated next to Toby. Swap seats with Frank, please. Once we were ready, Professor Triggs used her remote to scroll through the day's closed circuit television files. There's a 10-minute delay, she said. That's why I wanted to watch the other videos first, but I think the CCTV footage should be on the school system by now. Bug-Eye put up his hand. Excuse me, he said, but we have an important class now. Can we please go? Professor Triggs almost looked like she was going to say yes, but then she lifted her smartwatch to her mouth and spoke to it. Hello, Marianne, she said. Please let the Blesso boys' teacher know that they'll be a little late. Thank you. I shall do that now, said Marianne's voice through the smartwatch's speaker. Professor Triggs smiled at the Blessos. All sorted, she said. Bug-Eye looked as if he'd like to bash Professor Triggs. I could barely breathe. I so hoped the CCTV footage was clear. And then there it was, the whole thing. Bug-Eye's nastiness, Basher's cruelty. Poor little Toby started crying as he watched the video show the boys menace him. I held his hand, and just as I did, Professor Triggs clicked her remote and the screen froze. She stood up and smiled at everyone. I'd like Basher and Bug-Eye to stay behind, please, she said. Both boys jumped to their feet. That's not fair, said Basher. This is rigged, shouted Bug-Eye. With a stern look and a gesture of her hands, Professor Triggs indicated that they should sit down immediately. Looking at Toby, she said, I'm very sorry that you've had to watch this. It must have been very frightening for you to live through this cruelty, let alone to have to watch it again. Now please go and resume your fairy game in the garden for the rest of the afternoon, and I'll have some afternoon tea sent down to you. Have fun. And Toby, you've been very brave today. I feel proud of you. Once we were out of the building, we ran to the Clock's Tower garden, and sure enough, someone had set up a trestle table. It was covered with drinks and the best food. Decker was there too, looking very pleased with himself. You lot okay? He asked, giving each one of us a hug. Yes, I said, but better for seeing you. And you, said Decker, picking up Toby and putting him on his shoulders. I hear you've had a bad time of it. Here you go. Decker gave him a crown he'd made from some golden cardboard and a sceptre like the one Max holds in Where the Wild Things Are. Toby held his sceptre high and shouted, Let the wild rumpus begin. We all laughed and resumed our game, in between getting huge plates of food, all for the fairies, of course. And Decker stayed on guard with us for the rest of the afternoon.